Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Creative Differences Podcast. I am Dallas.
I'm Colin.
Hey guys, it's Demi. I will be taking Gabby's place today.
No Gabby. Today we're talking about Once Upon a Time ... in Hollywood.
I like that you included the ...
Yeah, it's everywhere. I keep seeing it, so I'm going to say it because they keep making me see it.
They emphasized it in the credits.
Yeah, they did. The 9th film from Quentin Tarantino. It's a long one. It's very Tarantino.
Oh my god.
It's a lot of feet. We'll get into it. Colin didn't see it. So he's just going to be lurking until we say something that sparks a response from him.
Yeah.
Demi, you just want to get into it?
Yeah, let's jump. What did you think of the movie?
I thought it was... I didn't really dislike it. I didn't like it too much either. I wouldn't want to see it again, but most of that might just be because of how long it is.
Oh my god.
Yeah, so it's like I watched the movie, and if it wasn't so long, I might have better feelings about it. Because I wasn't bored for the most part.
Yeah.
Like, there were times when I was entertained. The humor worked for me. The acting is great.
Oh, the acting is absolutely great.
It's just, there's so much of it that... And it's one thing to be long. Like, there are long movies. Endgame is a long movie. Friggin' Avatar is a long movie. There are a bunch of long movies. But if I feel like I can't immediately point out a bunch of stuff that I feel like should have just been taken out, then I'm there for the ride. If I'm having fun, I'm there for the ride. But this movie is long. It feels like just for the sake of being long.
Oh my gosh. So, yeah, I feel similarly because I've seen this movie about 5 times at this point. To be fair, the first time is the only time that I've actually paid attention while watching it. The other 4
Right.
times just happen to be I'm watching it because I'm running the 35 millimeter projector.
Yeah, so you had to be there.
So I have to be there to make sure the film's running properly. So yeah, I've been in and out of paying attention the other 4 times.
Mm-hmm.
And the more that I occasionally pay attention to it, the more I kind of realize what my feelings are, which is, like you said, I don't dislike it. I don't like it. I think the more I think about it, I start getting into the area of disliking it, though.
Yeah,
but like, sense. I think it's a really well-made movie.
Okay.
Cinematography is great. Everything looks good.
Yeah.
The number of freaking crane shots over houses. How many can you possibly do in a movie? A lot, apparently.
A lot.
The acting is spectacular.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody gives a great performance, even those people who are giving very minor performances.
Yeah.
My issue lies strictly in the storytelling and the way Tarantino decided to tell the story, because there's so much of it.
Yeah.
And it all seems like it's going nowhere.
There's a lot of just nothing happening. And I was just like, man, this could have been like 2 movies, at least.
Could have been like 3.
There are so many different stories, and it's like a lot of them aren't progressing for a while.
And it's not like Tarantino can't do that. We've seen him do it with movies like Pulp Fiction.
Yeah.
But this one just, I don't know, maybe the structure just didn't work for me.
And I prefer, honestly, I'm not a big fan of the non-linear storytelling most of the time. So, like, I prefer, beginning to end, go straight forward with it. But it's just like, you don't need Brad Pitt feeding his dog for 5 to 10 minutes of screen time.
Oh my gosh.
It's like, we got to see him drive through the freeway. We got to see him park. He goes inside. He says hi to the dog. He picks out the dog food. He picks out another can of dog
Quentin
food.
Tarantino doesn't understand the term ellipses. Like, we get it.
Yeah.
Audiences can figure out what's happened in time in between stuff.
Yeah.
There was a moment, though, where I remember turning to you in the theater and I went, was that a flashback? Did we just watch a whole flashback? Because the flashback itself is a 10-minute sequence.
Yeah.
And I thought it was a whole new thing.
Yeah, and it came back to where we were before, and I was like, wait, that was all a flashback.
It was all a flashback. And then that flashback had a flashback in it.
In the flashback. There are cutaways in... Oh, it's like, oh my God.
It's a lot. And the thing is, like, I get what the story is. I think I get what the story's supposed to be about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like on the surface, it's about a fading actor who is struggling and doesn't want to be left behind.
And it's not just him
stuff.
being a fading actor, but his stunt double is also a fading actor, and they're both dealing with that in different ways. It's about aging. It's about time passing by. It's about coming into a new age.
Yeah.
And having to kind of back away because it's a new time. It's a new decade. It's a new era.
Yeah.
Like, you don't fit into it. And I guess that, I don't know, says a lot about how Quentin Tarantino is feeling about his career right now. But,
Maybe.
like, I get that. I guess I just don't like the way that the story was told.
Yeah, there's somehow simultaneously too much story, but not enough story.
I feel
because
like
there's too much.
There's so much story, but there is no plot.
Yeah, there's so much happening, but a lot of it just really doesn't matter. Like, we spent so much time watching Leo's character's name is Rick Dalton. We watched so many of Rick Dalton's other shows and movies.
And him working on
it just became like a compilation of other scenes that he's done in other movies. Like, at one point, we're just watching him make another movie, which is fine because this is a movie about an actor and blah, 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 blah.
It's kind of like Hail Caesar.
I haven't seen that one.
But not as entertaining.
What was entertaining, though, is let me give a shout out because Brad Pitt was amazing.
He is.
Every time he's on screen, I was locked in. And I was like, honestly, I just want a movie about this character, Cliff.
Cliff is great.
Is the most entertaining part of this movie.
Cliff is great, but there's something very problematic about that character.
Yeah, honestly,
and
like when that situation was revealed, I was like, oh man, like I really wanted to like this guy.
Like, you're awful.
Yeah, but I was like, oh, you're a villain. But like, let's be honest, Tarantino doesn't really have a great track record with how he treats women. So I don't think he even really saw that as a problem.
This movie also doesn't treat its women really well. The only full character that is a woman in this movie is the 8-year-old child.
Oh, yeah. That was interesting. She was great.
She's awesome. I love her.
She was awesome.
But, like, Margot Robbie as Sharon Tate, like, there are people out there who are like, I like that they made Sharon Tate, like, she's more than a victim. She's a person. I'm like, that's cool. She's not a person in this movie. She's just an idea.
Definitely not. Because I heard that Margot Robbie didn't have a lot of screen time or do a lot, blah, blah, blah. And it was like, Margot Robbie's on screen a lot. She just doesn't do anything. Every time they show her, she's just dancing around or saying like, hey, honey, who's outside? She literally doesn't. She goes to watch a movie. Somehow the longest movie I've ever freaking seen. Like, she goes to watch a movie in the middle of the day. Every other character has entire story arcs going on. Cliff has a whole adventure.
Leo DiCaprio.
Leo makes a freaking movie. They all finish
a TV show episode.
They finish their little story arcs, and then she's still watching the movie. I'm like, are you kidding me?
And the thing is, I understand that the idea is that the movie takes place at the end of the 60s. It takes place during a time of the loss of innocence. It's said that Sharon Tate, when she died, that was the end of the 60s. Those murders, that was the cutoff. That was when the 60s ended.
Yeah.
Ideologically.
And chronologically. I think it was what, 69?
Yeah, it was 69.
Yeah,
but ideologically, that is when it died. And
okay.
I get the idea that she's supposed to represent this innocence that was lost.
Yeah.
And that's what she represents in this movie. But, like, bruh, I'm tired of women just standing there and being ideas.
Yeah, like, honestly, if she is going to represent the innocence or whatever, she can still have some lines.
She could be a person.
She can say something.
She could be an actual character.
She doesn't have to just dance around, like...
Not to say that I didn't enjoy watching her dance around, but like...
This is cool, but like, you know, the movie's 2.5 hours. We've seen her dance already.
Margot Robbie is such a talented actress. Like, I knew that she was talented when I was watching Wolf of Wall Street, which I feel similarly about Wolf of Wall Street as I do about this movie.
Okay.
But watching that movie, and we got to the scene where she tells Leo's character that she wants a divorce, and that whole argument and fight scene that goes down for the next few minutes, that was when I knew that Margot Robbie was a great actress. Right. Because she's holding her own against Leonardo DiCaprio. So, like, why waste Margot Robbie? I
don't know.
You have such an incredible actress at your disposal who can do anything that you ask her to do.
And just ask her to dance around.
And be a symbol. That's what she is. She's a symbol.
I don't know. We saw her feet a lot.
Well, she's not the only person whose feet we saw a lot.
Let's preface this. We went in with another friend of mine. Shout out to Daniel. And I was like, all right, I think, Demi, you told me we're going to count the feet shots. Yeah. And we're going to count how many times the word nigga is said, with or without hard R. Plot twist, hallelujah, no niggas. No white people say nigger. There's no anything like that. I was astounded. I was shocked.
However, he overcompensated with the feet shot.
Yes. So I feel like every time he wanted to say the N-word, he was like, instead, I'll just throw in another shot of somebody's feet.
Quick question.
Yes.
Were there any black people in this movie?
No.
So when would they have said it?
See?
It doesn't matter.
Just like ideologically?
Here's the thing.
Walking through, ooh, I'm going to film this movie in Italy, but oh, by the way, I just hate the niggers so much. Like,
Here's
when are you
going
to, you know?
Normally, I would say that makes sense. But this is Tarantino we're talking about. And I've seen more than one scene of a Tarantino movie where white people are talking to each other and we'll just talk about the niggers.
Okay, that makes sense in something like Django, but...
Reservoir Dogs has multiple scenes. And that movie takes place in the 90s, I'm pretty sure. No, like, it's not Django. It's not in slavery. It's not during the pre-civil rights era. It's just some criminals talking about the niggers. And I'm like, yo, dude, you are overtly racist. And then he makes a movie takes place in the 60s. And I'm like, oh, he's going to have a field day with this one. And he was like, nah. He threw in some other slurs. Yeah, he threw in some slurs.
Calling Native Americans Redskins and stuff like that. Like, I was like, okay.
He threw in the word colored instead. You probably thought that was fine. He had Bruce Lee's character say it for some reason.
Yeah, I was like, yo, we just dropping casual racism. And
yeah, he was like,
I get it.
Right.
It's the 60s. You don't have to be casually racist.
He was like, yeah, we're not going to do the N-word. Let me just throw in some more. But those feet shots.
So let us... Also, I want to just say, all three of us on this podcast that are speaking about this movie and saying the N-word freely are black.
Oh, yes. Yes. We don't give passes around here.
You can't see us.
If you couldn't tell by the way we speak, what we talk about, and our contempt for Quentin Tarantino, we are black people.
I don't even know if it's contempt or just whatever. Anyway, to preface the foot shot thing, we're going to give you guys our count of foot shots.
Yes.
But I want to just say, so our rule was... I think it was just literally anytime a foot was the focus of the shot.
We had to change the rule, like,
5
during the movie
minutes in.
because we thought it was just going to be, like, bare feet. Like, you know, like Uma Thurman, Kill Bill style, just focused on the feet. And there were some of those.
There were several of those.
But then there were some that we just had to count because, like, even when someone has shoes on, the camera's just on their feet.
More times
Someone's walking
than
down
usual.
the street and it's just on their feet.
There was one shot where Margot Robbie was walking and it started at like her hip and it went down to her feet. And I looked at you and went, does that count? And you went, yes, because they deliberately went down to her feet and then went back up.
I was going to ask, like, because you'll get shots of we're behind somebody and it's like a low angle, but that I feel like is different.
Oh no, we got a lot of those shots at the feet too, and a lot of shots started at the feet and would go up. I was like, I've never seen this shot used so many times.
That's what I was thinking.
A film.
I was like, how many times is your shot gonna start at someone's feet and then just go up to who it is? Like it's some kind of reveal. Like I see that when you're like revealing an actor or a character, but it's like we know who this is. You just wanted to start with their feet.
There was only one shot where we didn't count it, and it was because it was focused on a knife. That was the focus of the shot.
There was a knife there.
So
with
our
the
count, keeping that in mind, our count came out to 27.
27 shots of feet.
Several of them bare women feet.
Yes.
I mean, the man knows what he likes.
Starting with Margot Robbie while she's lying in bed.
He knows what he likes. You know, give or take a few, depending on like what your own personal rules and criteria are for counting the feet shots. But we counted 27, so take that how you take it.
Yeah, that's like literally just every foot shot. So if you have a stricter rule, then you guys will find less than that.
It's literally like a woman just in the car and she just kicks her feet on the windshield. And that shot is like the camera is basically where the windshield is.
Her foot is in the
her
foreground.
Her foot is in the camera. I was like, come on, bro.
Last thing I want to say is, okay, you know what? I'm just going to put it this way. So if you are a Quentin Tarantino fan, there is a great chance that you will enjoy this movie.
Yeah, that's what I've been telling people when they ask me if I would recommend it. They're like, do you like it? And I'm like, I hesitate. And they're like, oh. And I'm like, well, are you a Tarantino fan? They'll say yes. I'm like, yeah, you'll like it.
This is Quentin Tarantino at his most Quentin Tarantino. Clearly nobody said no to any of these ideas because editing really should have been locked up a little tighter than it was.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's the most Tarantino film you're going to find. It does have its moments of hyperviolence. Yeah. And I'm going to be honest, I'm sorry. I still feel like they exploited Sharon Tate as a person. I don't care what anybody says.
Because of the way, the
way that they build tension and anxiety in that film, it does not work without Sharon Tate. Yeah, I feel. And if you don't know who Sharon Tate is, that element is not going to work for you. Yeah, not as well, because like you're still, not to get into anything spoiler, like you'll still have the sense of what's happening in the scene. Yeah. But you won't know why it's so much. Like why it's like, oh my god, like. Yeah, when we get to third act, all the narration that's going on, none of that's gonna matter to you. You're gonna sit there and go, why are we? Yeah, there's some stuff he's just saying, and it's like, okay, cool. If you know what happened in real life, then you know what happened. Like, oh, that's why he's saying that. I spent the whole movie anxious because I was like, dear God, I don't want to watch this happen. Yeah. But yeah, but if you're. With that being said. Yeah, if you're a Tarantino fan, you're gonna like it. Yes, I did thoroughly enjoy Brad Pitt in that last scene. I think all the acting is great. All the production design is great. It is super nostalgic of the 90s if you're into that thing. It's 60s. It's super nostalgic of the 60s if you're into that thing. It's super nostalgic of Hollywood back in those days if you're into that thing. Yeah. Tarantino's dialogue is Tarantino. It's what he does. I just feel like the story could have been tightened up. Yeah. And I think that's my only issue with the film. I have no problem with what the film is trying to say or what it's trying to do so much, except for like the hyperviolence, because I disagree with him on all that. Fair. The writing I just felt like needed to be The story's just not tightened
Lock
up
that down a
enough.
little bit.
Yeah.
In summation, I'll say when I was in the bathroom after the movie, there's two guys talking about it, and one of them was just like, yeah, man, everything was good except the plot. And I was like,
Yeah.
I feel you.
But yeah, that's Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and this review is way shorter than that movie. If you guys want to spend 2
Everything
hours,
is way shorter than that movie.
if you guys want to spend 2 hours and 40 minutes watching a Tarantino movie, you guys will have fun.
Enjoy that.
Yeah. Next up, we are going to discuss some recent pop culture news.
Yep, we got some news for you guys.
I think we're going to start with Venom 2,
Yes.
which has 3 directors in consideration.
So I thought Ruben Fleischer, or Fleischer, I don't know how to say it, I'm sorry. Ruben, I thought Big Ruben was coming back. Apparently he's not. I'm disappointed.
Wah, wah.
Wah, wah. But I think I like the guys they're bringing in, possibly. It was Andy Serkis?
Andy Serkis, Travis Knight, and Rupert Wyatt.
Yes.
They've all met with Sony about directing.
Okay.
Andy Serkis, I'm like,
Well, let's preface with Andy Serkis made Mowgli, right?
yes.
I haven't seen Mowgli.
I have.
What else has he made?
I think
some other?
Mowgli's the only thing he's ever directed.
Okay, cool. And then Travis Knight made Kubo and the Two Strings.
And Bumblebee. Both of which I like.
Yes. And then Rupert Wyatt made Rise of the Planet of the Apes.
Which is my favorite of those Planet of the Apes
That's the first
movies.
one?
Yes.
Okay,
That's the one with James Franco and Frida Pinto.
cool. Sorry if you guys have made other stuff that I haven't been aware of.
Those are like the most important things, I think.
Yeah, those are the ones that I'm basing my decisions on. So, I have not seen an Andy Serkis directed movie. You have.
I saw Mowgli. To be fair, though, I saw it before it was completely finished.
Okay, fair.
And it was all right. That's why I'm like, I don't know if I'm excited or nervous about that particular choice, but I mean, he'd probably do well with it. It
Maybe.
probably couldn't hurt. Okay, also, let me just say, I didn't like the first Venom.
True.
So at this point, probably any director who I think is all right would probably make it a better movie for me.
Makes sense. And you think Andy Serkis is all right as a director?
Yeah.
So that checks out. Colin, did you see Mowgli?
He was
Yeah,
with me-
but it was in the same state as it was with Demi, so I feel like you can't really judge it.
Fair.
Yeah, it's hard to really judge something that's not completed yet.
And
Well.
so very not completed that they could have made major alterations in the final release. So
Well, moving on to Mr.
Travis
Wyatt.
Knight.
Never mind, Travis
Oh,
Knight.
I thought you were gonna. Sorry, I thought we were gonna go in order as to when we announced them.
That's fine. Travis Knight. I really, really, really love Kubo and the Two Strings.
I'm
I'm about that movie.
I really, really like Kubo and the Two Strings, and I really, really love Bumblebee.
Interesting. I like Bumblebee a fair amount.
Bumblebee gave me the 80s movie vibes that I've been missing.
When I heard Travis Knight, my first thought was like, well, I feel like Venom should be darker, but then Kubo's dark for
Kubo's
what
dark.
it is. Like, it's a movie that is PG, but it's a lot going
That's
on.
probably why I didn't like that ending.
Kubo is so freaking dark. So, I think Travis Knight would be great. Colin.
Colin, do you know?
Yeah, you saw Kubo, right?
I saw Kubo once. I remember liking it, but I haven't thought about it since.
Did you see Bumblebee?
Yeah,
Did you like it?
I liked it. I mean, I feel like well, he's not writing Venom, so it's not really
No, it's the
up
same writer
to him,
as
but
the original Venom.
that I'm cool with that. I like
I'm
the first
not.
one a lot, and if they're gonna keep going with that sort of relationship they established in the first one, I don't care who directs it as long as they get that, because I love that.
Fair.
I mean, I like those two movies. It seems like he does. I don't know what to call it, but like his sensibilities seem to be more character aligned than action aligned, which works for me. That's what I want out of the Venom
that would
series.
probably make these movies better.
See, I would argue that was kind of what the first one was.
The first one, that was the only good part, was Eddie and Venom. Everything else outside of that was horrible.
I wouldn't go that far, but
Sorry, I would.
I mean, I outright disagree, but like what you're saying, so you want him to focus more on the characters, and you think that's what he does?
yeah, and if that's what he does, then yeah, I'm down. I'm fine with that, because Eddie and Venom's relationship was the part of that movie I loved the most. So give me more of that, and I'm happy.
And Rupert, you said you liked, was it Rise?
Rise of the
was your favorite one?
That's my favorite one out of the 3.
Okay. I didn't actually realize that Matt Reeves didn't do all of them.
No, he didn't.
Until today, I actually learned that. So I probably couldn't really distinguish the directional differences between the 3.
Matt Reeves is a little darker, I think.
Okay. Because I like all of them. I think the second one's probably my favorite, but I like the first one a lot too. But
Yeah, I think Matt Reeves is a little bit darker, but I think those 2 movies were also just a little bit darker than Rise was.
yeah, it got darker as the franchise went.
Yeah, no, I really liked Rise. Rise was my favorite one, and I can't explain why. I think maybe I just liked the characters more in that one, or at
Okay.
least, yeah, I think I just liked the characters more in that one. I think I liked James Franco and Frida Pinto's human characters more than I like the human characters that we get later on in the franchise.
I feel you.
But yeah, I think like there's nothing in me that says Rupert Wyatt would do a bad job.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with that. But then again, I also had no problem with Ruben because I wouldn't have had a problem with Ruben because I really like Zombieland.
Right, he did make Zombieland.
I love Zombieland and I don't like Venom,
Mhm.
so I think that must be a part on the writing. More
Yeah,
so
so you
than
don't think it's
directing.
Ruben's directing?
Yeah, I
Okay.
think it might have just been the writing because the lines were. That's
Well,
yeah.
I am, I guess, not opposed to any of these choices. I would probably prefer Travis Knight just because he's made two things I know I like.
Yeah, I was about to say I think Travis Knight is the one
Mathematically.
I would choose out of all of them because
Yeah.
I would have more faith in Travis Knight. But that's because he has a better track record so far.
Yeah, it's just like, all right, you made a movie I really, really love and a movie that I like. So
That's good enough.
works for me.
And then the last piece of news that we have today for you guys, they announced the creative team for
Mhm.
Lord of the Rings, the TV series, which means that show is getting somewhere.
Yes.
It's not just like some fantasy. It's not just like, hey guys, we're gonna do it, but we have, hey guys, we're gonna do it, but like we don't have anything yet. But now it's like there are actual people behind it. There's
Yeah.
a creative team. There are people writing and doing production work and drawing concept art and stuff.
Mhm.
So it's something that's gonna happen. I don't know a lot of the writers who are involved,
Okay.
but I noticed that they've got like 3 women writing the show, which
That's
is
fun.
impressive for a writing group.
Nice.
Yeah, I was excited about that because I feel like the women in that series in the movies just don't get enough attention.
I don't think
because
so
it's
either. Even though
mainly
they're
about the Fellowship and they're all men, and I get that, but even
it's
the
a man's
Hobbit,
world.
like Toriel, didn't really matter as much as she should have.
That also might have been because she was an original character that is not in the novels.
That's fine, but I feel like if you're gonna make a character, make
her
them
something
matter.
to
You know what I'm
do,
saying?
yeah.
Like you're choosing to do this, so
I agree. Yeah, the Lord of the Rings series is kind of it's a man club. As much as
Yeah.
I love that series, and I love Arwen. As a kid, I didn't like Eowyn. I've grown older and out of my horrible ways, and I liked Toriel decently enough, but most likely because Evangeline Lilly's cool, but not necessarily because of her character. It'll be nice. I'm interested in seeing what a Lord of the Rings TV show looks like, especially since the movies are so lush.
see that's the concept of a TV show is interesting because I feel like that means that because it's a TV show, they're not going to do like you're not going to have a Helm's Deep every episode. You're not going to have a huge battle every episode, and so I'm interested to see like what are you doing when you're not doing that? Because so much of the Lord of the Rings is big set piece, big set piece, big set piece.
It's interesting because they have Brian Cogman working on the show, and he worked on Game of Thrones.
That is exciting to me because I think he's written like some of the really character-heavy episodes, including I think episode 2 of season 8,
yeah,
which
is
is
the best
one of my
episode.
favorite episodes
Yeah.
of that entire series. So like, dude knows how to write characters really well and get into them like complexly. So I'm excited for that.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea to have somebody from Game of Thrones involved in Lord of the Rings. That's not the showrunners of Game of Thrones.
I mean, I do and I don't because they're very different.
They're very different, but the
Things.
thing is, I'm imagining that what they want Lord of the Rings to be is something lush like Game of Thrones is, something that looks good on screen, that's really big and looks... They want something that kind of looks like Game of Thrones without being Game of Thrones, if you get what I'm saying.
Did Brian Cogman direct or does he just write?
I think he just writes, but at the same time, you
Because
want...
that doesn't get you that
But you
look.
also want the writing, and you want somebody who's used to writing for television, but writing something that's so intricate like that.
I can see what you're saying.
It's a good idea for them to have somebody like that. Also, having somebody who actually worked on the Lord of the Rings series. I don't remember the guy's name, but he did like concept art or something for the original.
I think their production designer.
Yeah, I think it was their production designer. So it's kind of cool that he's going from the Lord of the Rings trilogy to a TV show because that means we'll get things that are similar. It's not somebody who's trying to imitate a movie. It's
Right,
somebody
if that's
who
already
did-
his style, then cool.
Yeah, it's somebody who did the movies that we already love so much.
The thing I wonder about with this, that I'm also wondering about with the Game of Thrones prequel in terms of production design, is like, if we started in the Middle Ages and we're now going back, how are you going to differentiate? Is it just going to be, this is also the Middle Ages? Because like visually, what's going to be different?
I don't know, but we're sure to find out. I don't know if they've said when they're anticipating the show to come out, but it'll be fun. It'll be interesting.
It'll be different.
Speaking of being different, I think that's all we've got today, guys.
Yeah, sorry for like disappearing. I decided to switch places with Colin because I don't I wouldn't say I'm a fan of Lord of the Rings. I wouldn't say I dislike it. I've seen all of them. I fell asleep during one. I don't remember which one, so I didn't really want to say much. It wasn't my place because I'm not going to watch the show. And also, I just wanted Colin to talk because he was quiet for like the first 20 minutes of this.
It's honestly surprising to me that I talked about this as much as I did because I don't dislike Lord of the Rings. I dislike that everything in fantasy, pretty much, at least Western fantasy, is living under Lord of the Rings' shadow. And that's no one's fault.
It's the legacy you create when you're just really good at what you did.
Yeah.
You do it early enough, I suppose.
Which is fine, but then we are so many decades removed at this point that the fact that, like, if you ask somebody what an elf is, their default description is Lord of the Rings. You ask someone what a dwarf is, their default description is Lord of the Rings. I would like to see us moving out of that, and we are in certain cases, but a lot of it is still very similar.
You gotta find something that's as good as Lord of the Rings, and that's just really hard to do. So, thank you guys for joining us today. You guys can find us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Obviously, you guys are probably listening to us there or on YouTube.
Yes. Wherever you're not listening to us, you can find us there. Wherever you are listening to us, you've already found us there. So congratulations. Also, if you are listening to us on Spotify and or Apple Podcasts, shout out to Brandon and Io for putting us there and keeping us there. I still don't know how to do that. You can find us on Twitter at y'all_different. You can find us on Tumblr at Creative Differences Podcast. You can find us on Facebook by searching for Creative Differences. That's all our medias. You can find me at A King Named Simba on Twitter.
You can find me on Twitter at Duck McGuck.
And you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Dreamy Films. Dreamy spelled DREEMI.
And you can find Gabby on Twitter, but we're not going to tell you where because she's not in this episode. All right, guys. It's been different.
It's definitely been different. You will not hear a Quentin Tarantino review anything like this ever. Anywhere else.
Feet.